Harris versus Trump. This week, Pokemon decides. Let's look at the numbers. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. I know all people want to talk about right now are fake Moonbryons and prismatic price gouging, but I want to take a slightly different approach today. I want to talk about what to expect from the winning candidate in the 2024 American presidential election, and I want to do it from a Pokemon-themed standpoint. Now, if you guys think this premise is ridiculous, clearly you haven't watched one of my videos before, and I want to be clear. This video is intended to be a bit of fun, but the key message here is to get out and vote. So many people around the world would give anything to be able to choose the political direction of their country, so go and do it. And before we get into things, I want to say as well, I'm from Canada. I'm up here in Ontario, so I'm not endorsing one candidate over the other. I mean, for me, there's really only one choice for the president of the world. I only pray I come to see it pass in my lifetime. But enough about Justin Trudeau. Let's get into it, guys. So we've got Trump versus Harris. Both have laid out their campaigns, and if the polls are to be believed, this is a race that is just too close to call. Now, what a politician says during their election campaigns and what actually comes to pass really are two very different things. However, these are the 5 key election topics that might actually have an impact on the Pokemon TCG, both stateside and possibly around the world. First up is inflation. Harris has said her day one priority would be trying to reduce food and housing costs for working-class families. She promises to ban price gouging on groceries, help first-time homebuyers, increase housing supply, and raise the minimum wage. Inflation skyrocketed under the Biden administration, as it did in many Western countries, partly due to the post-COVID supply issues and mostly due to the Ukraine war. It has fallen since, but not enough for my liking. Trump has promised to end inflation and make America affordable again, and when asked how, he says drilling for more oil will lower energy costs. He has promised to deliver lower interest rates as well, and this is something he doesn't actually control, but he says deporting undocumented immigrants as well will ease pressure on housing. Now, economists, for what it's worth, they warn that his vow to impose a higher tax on imports could actually push up prices, but we'll hear a bit more on that in a second. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but inflation is running rampant up here in Canada. It only really started to cool in September this year, and it is a killer. We all joke about putting Pokemon cards in the shopping cart instead of groceries. You know, you see guys with the reels, they're eating energy cards for dinner instead of real food. And as funny as that is, that strategy only works for so long. It only is a joke for so long. Nobody should have to choose between putting food on the family table and buying Pokemon cards. Next up is taxes. Here's how these two candidates line up. Harris wants to raise taxes on big businesses and Americans making $400,000 or more a year, but she also has unveiled a number of measures that in theory would ease the tax burden on families, including an expansion of child tax credits. She has broken with Biden over capital gains tax, supporting a more moderate rise from 23% to 28% compared with his 44%, which is just nutty, guys. If I buy a stock, if I take the risk with my own money and I win on that, I have to pay the government half of that almost. That's crazy. Trump proposes a number of tax cuts worth trillions, including an extension on his 2017 cuts, which mostly help the wealthy. He says he will pay for them through higher growth and tariffs on imports. Now, again, analysts take them with a pinch of salt. They say both tax plans will add to the ballooning deficit, but Trump's will add by a little bit more. For me, though, guys, this really is two sides of the same coin. Bigger taxes for businesses often just translate to price increases for the end consumer. Remember, we've seen MSRP on booster boxes climb 3 times in the last 2 years. I'm counting Surging Sparks, of course, which seems to have the highest MSRP yet. Helping working class families and giving child tax credits is something that really hits home for me, and it does make a huge difference. And cuts that help the wealthy, they rarely get passed on to the end consumer. Either way this goes, though, it looks like we could be seeing prices continue to rise sharply inside and outside of the TCG, no matter who gets into office. And that brings us to tariffs. Watch out, guys. Your Japanese booster box prices, they could be about to skyrocket. Harris has criticized Trump's sweeping plan to impose tariffs on imports, calling it a national tax on working families, which will cost each household $4,000 or more a year. She is expected to have a more targeted approach to taxing imports, maintaining the tariffs the Biden-Harris administration introduced on some Chinese imports, like electric vehicles. Trump has made tariffs a central campaign pledge in order to protect U.S. industry. he has proposed new 10 to 20% tariffs on most imported foreign goods and much higher ones on those from China. He has also promised to entice companies to stay in the US to manufacture goods by giving them a lower rate of corporate tax. Now, on this one, Japan is the 6th largest trade partner for the US. Japanese card stores in the US, rip and ships, and just dudes who buy cards directly from Japan for their own collections, they could see a big increase under Trump. They might not, but they could see a big increase. So the only people this will really benefit in the short term are the evil investors like myself who are sitting on boxes, because the values of these boxes will increase very quickly should this come to pass. Millennium Printing is, of course, in the US, so maybe some breaks there will help those guys out. Will they get passed on to the end consumer? Who knows? But moving on, let's look at the topic of healthcare. Harris has been part of a White House administration which has reduced prescription drug costs and capped insulin prices at $35. Trump, who has often vowed to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, has said if elected, he would only improve it, without offering any specifics. The act has been instrumental in getting health insurance to millions more people. He has called for taxpayer-funded fertility treatments, but that could be opposed by Republicans in Congress. So guys, it is no secret that we are getting older. You might be wondering why I'm putting healthcare on here, but it's no secret, guys. We want to see the hobby grow. We want to live long lives. We want to enjoy it with our kids. We want to make gains on the Pokémon investments we've made. We need to be healthy to do that. Personally, I don't care where you live. Free medical care should be a basic human right. Our first daughter, as well, on the subject of fertility, is an IVF baby. We had a real hard time getting Madeline. Like, it was super, super expensive. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars. Guys, vote for the party you think will do you best in this situation. And that brings me to the final key election topic, and that is cryptocurrency. So much money has flown into the hobby as a result of crypto and tech stocks over the last few years. Trump is firmly for crypto and not taxing it. And an election win for him might just see a huge surge in the price of Bitcoin and other cryptos. Harris is less enthusiastic. She's calling for more regulation of cryptocurrency, which could lead to a dip in the value of many coins, including Bitcoin. Overall, though, guys, you have to remember, both parties have now been in office during the two biggest ever Pokemon market booms. Trump in 2020, the Logan Paul era, and the Democrats now with Greninja shooting to the stars. I personally think we are headed to a recession in the next 4 years. I think it's going to happen. And recessions can be good things as well. They can present opportunities. So it's likely we have a boom, I think, for the 30th anniversary in Pokemon, and then we do have some down years. Beyond that, though, guys, I believe it's a good news story. I believe Pokemon will endure as an intellectual property and fascinate generations to come. So just remember, politicians come and go, Pikachu remains. Most importantly, though, I want to end this video with a very positive message. This is from Arnold Schwarzenegger's weekly newsletter. I would encourage you guys to sign up for this. My second challenge, Arnold says, is going to be harder for most of you. I want you to remember that even though people might disagree with you, they are not your enemy. You might disagree with someone about the debt, the taxes, the immigration, you name it, but that does not mean you have to give up your humanity and be nasty to them. It doesn't mean they're a communist or a Nazi. This means you have a different vision of policy. I know that some of the people at the top have given us all a bad example of how to treat our fellow men and women, but this week, my challenge to you is to stay out of the mud. There will be enough nastiness no matter what happens. I want you to rise above it. You can do it. We can do it. And on that note, my friends, take it easy.